Very good evening and welcome. You're watching Beyond the Headline with me, Tamanna Inamdar. The big story of the day undoubtedly is the preacher fugitive Amritpal Singh, who can't be traced even after 4 days. What is this story about? Who is Amritpal Singh and why are there security concerns after he has gone missing? We're going to be breaking that story down for you this evening, but let me begin with the top headlines of the day. 100 hours later, the hunt continues for Amritpal Singh. The High Court steps in, questioning his escape, asks what were 80,000 cops doing? National party status of NCP, TMC and CPI hangs in the balance ahead of the 2024 polls. The poll panel held meetings with representatives of NCP who presented their case in front of them. Budget session in limbo as Adani and Apology adjourned Parliament again. This is the 7th day Parliament hasn't functioned. Political face-off over the Delhi budget intensifies. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal says the LG's objection to budget unconstitutional, says centre should let Delhi government function. K. Kavita's questioning concludes for today. Enforcement Directorate grills the BRS leader for over 9 hours. CBI seeks restoration of Interpol's red notice against Mehul Choksi, says red corner notice removed on imaginary conjunctures. All right, let's begin. It's like a movie plot, no doubt. There are scriptwriters currently being inspired by the events of the last 4 days. A fugitive preacher on the run, changing his vehicles, his clothes, possibly even how he looks, to give the cops the slip. Amritpal Singh has become a giant-sized headache for not just the Punjab police, who got pulled up by the High Court today, but also the security apparatus of the nation. The man with a huge following, who had the gumption to storm a police station with armed goons and pull out an arrested supporter, has been on the run for the last 4 days. A police force of 80,000 can't seem to track him down. His arrested supporters are being shifted to jails in Assam for safety. Meanwhile, Amritpal has been slapped with the National Security Act and is being investigated for links to terrorist organizations trying to push the Khalistan agenda in India. What is this story? Why does this matter? And why can't the Punjab police seem to nab this man? We're going to break it down for you. Let's begin with who Amritpal Singh is. The 29-year-old returned to India in September 2022 after spending over a decade in Dubai running his family business. He participated in the farmers' protest briefly, and when actor Deep Sidhu died, he took over his organization called Waris Punjab De. His dressing in the style of Bhindranwale and evoking the Khalistani cause has him in the crosshair of security agencies. But it was the events of Feb 2023 that displayed how dangerous he can be. Imagine an armed goon storming a police station and the police meekly giving up an arrested man to avoid confrontation. Nothing was done at that time by the Punjab government. Days later, the attempts to catch him have proven futile so far. So why is this Amritpal Singh such a danger to the security of the border state in Punjab? Take a look at what the IG of Punjab has to say.
So one of the Sarpanch, he has also given the complaint. Can you brief us that what is the complaint and why did they come there and put him on the gunpoint?
Actually, two persons, one Chacha of Amritpal, Harjeet Singh, and one driver, Harpreet. One Sarpanch of village Uddoke, he has levelled allegations that they had taken shelter in his home on gunpoint. So that case has also been registered. They have already been arrested in that case.
And sir, you were talking about the foreign funding. You were talking about the foreign funding investigation has already been started. Can you elaborate which central agencies are helping you?
Actually, these are security issues, the minute details about funding, etc., which agencies are involved, which agencies are part of our investigation.
But foreign funding...
That part cannot be shared, but it is on record. We have evidence that there was foreign funding for Amritpal.
And sir, in the court, we have seen that even the court says that we don't believe in the police theory. And how can he escape? Can you explain a little bit about that? How did he?
We are very categorically saying that Amritpal has not yet been arrested. We are making all-out efforts to arrest him, and we are even making appeal to the people of Punjab to help us in arresting Amritpal, to give us the leads if they have any, and we have even released his old photographs.
Right. Now, before I get into the discussion, let me go across to my colleague Pradeep, joining me from Jalandhar. Pradeep, I believe the police have released various looks of Amritpal Singh today, a fresh set of photos. Do they suspect he has changed how he looks over the last few days to escape?
Yes, as you can see in pictures also, because initially he was wearing a different kind of a turban and he was that time moving in a Mercedes car. And all of a sudden he shifts to other car and then he changed his attire also. He goes toward Vipin Gurdwara Sahib where he changes his dress. And later on, if you see his picture in while he was pillion riding on a motorbike and fleeing from that area, he was wearing a different kind of a turban. So what actually this man was trying to do, rightly said, this seems to be a script from any Bollywood movie where he's trying to dodge checkmate police personnel. He's changing his dress, he's changing his attire, he's changing his turban also. He's trying to have a different kind of a look so that he's not recognized and he's able to flee from one place to another place easily and able to checkmate security agencies here in Punjab. And see, even that's one of the reasons that even after 4 days, he continues to remain elusive. He's on run. That's what actually the IGP was saying, that he has circulated pictures of Amritpal, both old and new, with different attire also, so that the people can help them out in finding this man if anybody has got any information regarding this person. Because this man, if you look at from day one, he was in Dubai. He was leading a luxurious lifestyle. He was handpicked from that area. He was paradropped to Punjab. He was planted here so that he can start the Khalistani movement and revive terror-related activities. He was working at behest of inter-service intelligence. Already there had been inputs that about 35 crore.
Thank you for all of those details. Pradeep Datta there with all of those exclusive details on what really is happening right now and how the police is still looking for him. Remember, they were pulled up by the Punjab and Haryana High Court today, who was asking that was this an intelligence failure? So Pradeep there with those exclusive details. Let me go across now to Terry Milewski. He's author of Blood for Blood, 50 Years of the Global Khalistan Project. He's joining us first on the show to give us perspective of what we're really seeing. Terry, thank you for speaking with us this evening on Beyond the Headline. How do you see the events of the last few days? And is there a real concern that the Khalistan movement and the height of it that we saw in the 70s and 80s is going to be revived?
Well, first time I must tell you that it's very tempting for a Canadian to say, aha, the Indians love to bang the table and beat their chests and say, you Canadians are too tolerant. Why don't you crack down on these Khalistanis in Canada? And here we have a perfect opportunity to get back at you and say, well, what are your 80,000 cops doing, letting this guy slip through your fingers like some kind of Scarlet Pimpernel? However, I'm not going to take that route because no Canadian is really in a position to point fingers, considering that.
I'm glad, Terry, you've chosen not to take that route, because the fact is that it's not like he's getting a walkover. Yes, he's been managing to give the slip and using various ways to do it, and we're showing those details, how he changed turbans, changed his vehicles, etc. But it's not like we're not after him and we won't catch him. Yes.
That's all fair enough. I was just going to point out that it took us 7 years to find the author and the mastermind of the Air India bombing, the Kanishka bombing of 1985, who we actually had under surveillance before the bombing. We were wiretapping him, we were watching his house, and he slipped through our fingers and got away to Pakistan and then eventually was killed by the Punjab police, not by the Canadian police, in October of 92, 7 years after he committed the enormous crime of the Air India bombing. So nobody's in a position to point fingers here. As to your main question, does this signify that the Khalistan movement is back? The answer is yes, and the but is they're no closer to Khalistan. They're making news, they're making noise. They have the referendum going on now in Australia. They've managed to make small attacks, nothing major, on Indian diplomatic facilities in San Francisco, in London, in Brisbane, Australia. This is all great. I mean, it gives reporters something to report. It gets them on the news. But at the same time, the turnout for the referendum in Brisbane was apparently very feeble. They complained that, oh, well, we were the victims of a cyber attack. That's why we had such a feeble turnout. Well, I don't know about that. All I can say is that they're no closer to getting Khalistan. They're no closer to signifying that they have mass support. They have energetic support. They have kids who want street cred, who want to be strutting as though they're leaders of the Sikhs, leaders of the community, and as in Amritpal's case, Bhindranwale 2.0. But they don't seem to be anywhere close to getting international support other than a few good warriors in the diaspora for the idea of Khalistan, and they have no coherent plan for how to make Khalistan come about or to tell us what kind of country it will be.
You know, I want to understand why this is still such a relevant subject in Punjab. Is it displaying a sort of lack of what politics has been able to do or give the people? Because all of this is tied up. It's the idea of Khalistan, the idea of protecting the Sikh religion, and the idea of protecting the youth from drugs. It all sort of gets tied up together when characters like this go out and preach. What is the social void that they're trying to fill?
Well, to me, this is all about what a terrible educational system we have in Canada and you have in Punjab. Because these people apparently believe the nonsense that is the basis of Khalistani propaganda. They believe that Sikhs in India live in a genocidal fascist state where Sikhs are being wiped out. I mean, as recently as last week in, I guess, Canberra it was, the head of Sikhs for Justice, Vipin Pubby, you don't hear much about in India because he's banned and you're not supposed to run his publicity. Well, maybe you should pay attention because he's been saying, and people have apparently been believing, that Sikhs have been the victims of, and I quote, an ongoing genocide since the time of Indira Gandhi right through to Narendra Modi. Well, I mean, if there is such a genocide, it's very odd that Sikhs, the millions of Sikhs in Punjab, have apparently not noticed this genocide. I mean, it's absurd. The whole idea is absurd. But apparently, those young men who are flying the flag and walking down the street and smashing windows at consulates saying Khalistan Zindabad know no better. They believe this nonsense. You know, I mean, cyber warfare is cheap. All you need is a keyboard. And you're a hero of the Sikhs, apparently, if you can, tweet some insults at the police in India.
Okay, so, absolutely. I mean, we've had a Sikh prime minister for 10 years. So we know this is nonsense. I want to understand from you and your perspective, Mr. Milewski, why this guy has suddenly become the flag bearer of this movement and why has he shot to prominence? This is this 29-year-old who's turned up from nowhere, spent 12 years in Dubai, sort of para-dropped in, September of 2022. And he's now on the most wanted list. The theory is, and one of the theories that is being tracked down, as my colleague Pradeep said, is that he's part of a larger plot and conspiracy, which is why he's sort of been put into this position. What is your take on this?
Well, I think that he's a bit of a fraud, just like Bhindranwale was. And I think that it's a symbolic movement. He kind of looks like Bhindranwale. He tries to sound like Bhindranwale. He dresses like Bhindranwale. He presents himself as a Bhindranwale 2.0. And that seems to be enough for the sort of vapid and empty movement that we're left with today. Here we have somebody who catches the imagination. I mean, what was he, a taxi driver in Dubai a couple of months ago? Nobody ever heard of him. And now he's popped up and you ask, well, why is he such a sensation? Well, it's like a movie star. It's attractive for the moment. You have to wonder if once he is captured, if he is captured, you have to wonder whether he will be as quickly forgotten as in 2 months, the way he suddenly appeared. I think that he's likely to disappear because it's empty. There's no there. The terrible genocide of the Sikhs isn't happening, and their independent state isn't happening. And I think that he's simply cashed in on the moment, and he does a good Bhindranwale. But what was Bhindranwale? Did he get anyone Khalistan? Well, he was supposed to be the great Khalistan, father of Khalistan. But I mean, if you look at his speeches, I've studied them, and if you find that whenever anyone asked him about Khalistan, he'd say, "Well, if they give me Khalistan, I'll take it." But then he'd go on a rant about alcohol and tobacco. He was a religious fundamentalist. He was a charismatic preacher. Same with this guy.
You're right, Terry Milewski. This guy seems a bit of a poser who has been sort of propped up and ridden the social media wave. An interesting way to put it. 2 years ago, he was driving a taxi. Now he's one of the most wanted men. Thank you so much, Terry Milewski, for joining us for that exclusive conversation right on top of the show. But I'm going to take the discussion forward here. Vipin Pubby, senior journalist with me today. Shasikant, former DGP Punjab, joining us on the show. Pathikrit Payne, security analyst, speaking with us as well. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us. I'm going to start with Mr. Shasikant to understand something that the Punjab and Haryana High Court asked today, when they were pretty blunt when questioning the Punjab police. Why can't you catch him? Why can't 80,000 cops catch him? Especially in this day and age where you have CCTV cameras, security footage. I mean, we've been seeing all of that footage, where he's been going, what he's been doing. Is there more to this than meets the eye?
As far as the observations of the Punjab and Haryana High Court are concerned, I would like to talk about it because the matter is sub judice. But here I'll say that yes, right from day one, the entire planning and operation of the Punjab police was simply botched. This guy lands up from nowhere, is the middle of nowhere, takes out your what is Punjab, the organization, and look, he has supported, somebody indoctrinated him when he was there, and I'm told that in Dubai he was living a comfortable life like any ordinary guy of his age will live, and he comes and somebody sort of all of a sudden overnight he had such a massive support of a section of people here, and to that my answer will be yes, because in Punjab we still have this kind of some good amount of sleeper cells, and the guys who are hovering around him, roaming around him, they are the post-1984 generation. They had not seen really what Punjab had passed through. Really? And they are just hearing stories like Terry was telling that, yes, they hardly know the reality in Punjab. They are just getting swayed by the propaganda on social media and maybe by some of their elders who are living abroad, because they are living in a type of time capsule. They think that, well, in 84 this didn't happen, so it must be still going on. And you know that the organizations like Sikh for Justice and all those organizations, they are continuing their tirade and the vicious campaign on social media and all sorts of ways, just sort of influencing the young minds of the young people.
Mr. Shasikant, let me reiterate my question a little more clearly. I think I was being a bit vague. Is it possible that the Punjab police cannot find him, or are there greater concerns that he may have implicit support within?
He certainly has.
Yeah, within the population that is allowing him to escape.
Yes, you asked me, right?
Yes, Mr. Shasikant, that question to you.
Okay, look, certainly he has implicit support, no doubt about it. Like I told you, this post-84 generation, they are still living in that kind of mind frame that, well, there's genocide, etc., etc. And there's no question Punjab police can't catch hold of him. Right now, he's running away from here and there, and you know how these persons, because I've dealt with terrorism when I was in the 80s. I know how they change their thing, and they have the sympathizers. So yes, he's hanging around somewhere, but 100% he's going to be caught. Yes, there'll be failure of intelligence, everything, but I don't see anything that I don't see that he can't be arrested. Certainly, he'll be booked and hauled up and brought to justice. Thank you.
Matter of time, no doubt. And I wish Terry had, stuck around for the rest of the panel discussion since he was questioning whether he will be caught. I'm sure it's a matter of time.
Yes.
I still want to understand how he's become such a big deal so quickly. Vipin Pubby, we have to, look at the possibility of what is festering within society in Punjab, which is giving the space for such characters. Preaching.
Earthquake, yes. Vipin,
Yes,
earthquake.
Tamanna, I must point it out to you. There is an earthquake in Chandigarh right
Yes,
now. I'm
yes,
feeling
earthquake.
that thing, and the fan and these things are moving. Although it doesn't appear to be very severe, but yes, it is there very much.
It's quite serious. It's quite serious.
anyway,
Okay, I hope everyone's okay.
Yeah. So,
Are you guys okay? Do you need a minute to sort things out, or are you okay to continue?
No. Well, it has stopped now, so it's okay. It's fine.
All right.
We can carry on.
No, it's,
All right.
it's
So could you
continuing.
please
Vipin
repeat
is
the question?
continuing.
Because
All
It's
right.
continuing.
Thank you for giving us that heads up. We're going to check on that and try and get the latest on that. Apparently there is a quake going on. I'm getting reports of that from my colleagues in Delhi as well. So I'm going to try and get the latest on that as soon as we can. In the interim, Mr. Pubby, do you think you can respond to what I was asking?
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead.
Repeat the
Please.
question. In the meantime, I forgot.
No, I'm sure if it's
just
in the
repeat
middle of
the
an earthquake, I'm sure.
I will answer it. We have, whatever is happening, so we have very much to answer that.
Yes.
So could you please repeat the question? I will answer.
Yes. No, the question essentially was, why do you think this man has become, such a big deal in such a short time?
Yes, Tamanna, the fact is that, it's been 6 months this man is here. And a lot of interviews had taken place. The local media had been covering him, and he has been talking all of nonsense things. And a lot of red flags should have gone out, but it has taken the state government and also the central government about 6 years. There has been a little vacuum in Punjab politics. We all know that the voters set aside the Congress and they voted out the Congress as well as Shiromani Akali Dal, and Aam Aadmi Party was brought in. But within 3 or 4 months of Aam Aadmi Party coming in, Simranjit Singh Mann, who is known to be a Khalistani supporter, he wins the election from Chief Minister's own constituency. And this man came just shortly a few weeks after that election. So there was a political vacuum, no doubt about it, and he's trying to take benefit of that. But he doesn't have much of a support, as Mr. Shasikant was also saying. There is a minuscule section of youth, disgruntled youth maybe, or maybe frustrated youth. They are with him. But as you see in Punjab, there has been hardly any reaction to it. In fact, there has been more protests outside the country than within Punjab. And everything is going on normal here. So I think the only thing is that the Punjab police messed up. They just messed up this operation. They should have been able to catch him much earlier.
I'm going to take a pause on this story and request